Okay, welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting, Tuesday, March 28th. This is being recorded, it's a hybrid meeting being recorded by MCTV. If you're dialing on a phone, please use *6 to mute and unmute yourself. And I'm going to start with a roll call, as we have two members online, well, one member at least online tonight. So go ahead and sound off. Brian Murphy here.
Larry Keen's here.
Grover Hensley here. Brian Sullivan here.
Mark Corwin here.
Becky Conway here.
Thank you.
Online.
All right, so we're going to start with 23-19, 165 Prospect Street, LLC. You can come up front if you want, or... Petitioner is seeking site plan approval in accordance with 305-1202 of the Marshfield Municipal Code for a seasonal ice cream shop on the property located at 173 Prospect Street, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel E1704-10 and is located in the R1 zoning district. Go ahead. Name and address for the record.
My name is Chris Diorce. I'm from Campbell Smith Architects. I live at 142 Old Main Street in Marshfield Hills. I'm here representing the architect, and I have with me Tish Adams, who is the manager of the general store and will be the manager of the ice cream shop. And online, we have Sean Papich of Sean Papich Landscape Architecture. He's going to take you through the site plan.
Okay.
So if I could just take you through the architecture briefly first, and
Sure.
then we'll look at the site plan, and we'll here to answer any questions. I think you have an abbreviated version of the architecturals.
We do.
Yep.
Andrew's got it up on there.
Great. You can see the location, which is right next door to the general store and the post office on Prospect Street in Marshfield Hills. That red dot is the building that we're considering. There's a rendering of the completed project. It has a new roof, new siding, and new windows with shutters. On page 2, you can see the existing building with the red dashed lines showing our work. So we're trying to make it a more traditional cape. Two windows, a full cape, two windows on either side of the door, two windows on the gable end, and some modifications to the bay window, which will be the serving window for the ice cream. See that existing photo right there. And there's our proposed solution. Pretty straightforward cape, new windows, siding, and roof. Service window on the front right corner of the floor plan. Sinks, freezer, pretty simple. And for the site plan, I think I'll turn it over to Sean Papich to go through that.
Thank you, Chris. Sean Papich, Landscape Architecture, 222 North Street in Hingham, for the record. Thank you for putting that up there. Appreciate it. You see in front of you right now, on the right-hand side is the general store. We're really more focused on the left-hand side, which is the currently, and if there's a chance to look at any of the photos that we had sent over, I'm not sure if that's easy to toggle to right now, if you want me to wait. Oh, wow, that was quick. You kind of see the existing condition. On the right-hand side, you see the straight view of the current building, which was a dentist's office, from what I understand, for about 50 years. And there's kind of a broken stone and slate walkway heading right to the front door off of the street sidewalk, essentially. Looking toward the left in photo 1 is looking over toward the general store, where you have an existing parking lot. And then on the looking to the right, excuse me, is, well, I'll just say it's over onto the right-hand side. I'm not sure if you have any other site photos, but we have the lawn area that's existing as it is today, as well as the back. A couple of other site photos, you see the adjacent house to the right-hand side, and then the rear of the existing structure and stuff. If you wanted to jump back to the plan, I would appreciate it. Thank you. Pretty nimble, I'm gonna say. I would have been able to move that quickly, so thank you. So what we are proposing is to improve the driveway. You can see the outline of the existing driveway. We're intending to improve it in the parking area to allow for a striped parking lot with wheel stops at the end of them, and allow spaces for accessibility. as you can see to the side. Also, instead of an asphalt walkway, a broken slate walkway, we're proposing traditional brick walkway, City Hall paver, classic traditional material with a larger gathering space right at the front, at the window, the serving window. We think it needs to be a little larger to gather, as well as a walkway, service walkway to the rear of the ice cream shop. And other things that we were considering, really to the rear side, and Stenbeck and Taylor ultimately is working with the health department on the septic system, the existing cesspool, so we change ownership, we have to go to a septic system, and they are still discussing that with the health department at this point. And back there, from those pictures that you saw, it's a real, kind of roughed up and wooded edge of the backside. Right at the edge, kind of scrubby, it's what you might call a hedgehog still like back there. It's a little bit messy right at the edge of the woodland. There's some Norway maples. And as Stenbeck and Taylor's working on their septic field design, there may be a few of the Norway maples that we could come down that are invasive. But if we go back on the plan as you're looking now, the intent is to also have the dumpster enclosure at the edge of the proposed parking area that would be in a cedar fence surround. And the lawn essentially, we were trying to create a little bit more established lawn area to the sides around for gathering space. The other piece that we were intending to do is a rail fence, essentially a 2-rail fence out near the sidewalk. We like that both aesthetically, but we also like that for safety, for keeping kids getting out into the street and out of the parking lot so easily. The other element of this plan is to show some screen plantings along the property line with the adjacent neighborhood, showing some upright evergreens, perhaps some western arborvitae, as well as something flowering as you get a little closer to the street, light hydrangeas or something of the like, something very traditional, as well as proposing a couple of shade trees out in what we might call the front yard area. We'd still pull those arrays off of that sidewalk so the branches not going to hit them, but give them some room to grow. People sit underneath those. We'd have movable picnic tables, perhaps trash receptacles just outside off of this area. I would say that pretty much covers it. I guess we can take one more look at the photos to show you a typical rail fence that we were talking about doing. The other cedar.
Sean, the only other thing I would mention, and this is the thing I said to the board on my comments, was that you did provide a little drip maintenance here around the current building as well to handle the drainage stuff.
Andrew, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming in on that. Yeah, drip edge for drainage and also for maintenance up against the edge of the house, the one we whack lowers and running on the structure itself, the old house. Proposed ice cream shop. That's correct. Thank you. In the photos, there's some few pictures of the materials. It's typical of what you'd find in City Hall brick pavers. The rail fence, essentially a cedar rail fence. We're proposing to incorporate a couple granite posts at the entries and on the ends. It's something traditional, but fairly subtle, but at least a guide to keep kids from getting out into the street when we think there's going to be a fair amount of gathering. That's. I don't know if there is anything else necessarily in the landscape plan for us to present, unless you want to chat about something specifically. I have some questions for us, sir.
I don't, well, we'll check with the board. Andrew, do you have anything to add?
Nothing more than I added in my comments.
Comments, thank you. Anything from the board?
It looks pretty nice to me from the outside. I like the traditional aspect of it.
Heidi, do you have anything?
I think it looks good. So is this hatched area here, is that like handicapped to be able to wheelchairs to get in and out up to the window?
That's it. Access.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, you access from both sides, either side you would like to.
Okay.
If we
Looks wonderful.
left side, if you come in, you might come to the left side. Somebody would come the called the passenger side of that vehicle would be there, but you could certainly come up with the right-hand side of the house.
Thank you. Do we have anything from the audience?
Hi, Pam Keith, 73 Standish Street. I don't know if the board can answer this or not, but is this considered a conforming use now in a residential zone, or what
Well,
do
we're here
you guys
tonight.
consider this?
Yeah, so we're here tonight for site plan approval.
So you can't answer. It's not a conforming use in a residential zone.
Well, I guess,
I
it get,
can answer that. It is not, it's a non-conforming use.
Okay. So it's a non-conforming use, and there's an alteration of a non-conforming use. When you alter a non-conforming use, you need a permit. You need a 1012 permit. This applicant has no permit to operate this business, and they're not seeking a permit tonight that goes with the site plan. I wrote down section 902B for non-conforming uses states that certain non-conforming principal accessory uses or structures may be extended or altered by special permit from the Board of Appeals in accordance with the procedures established in Article 10. And then there's a footnote, number 1. The footnote is editor's note, see section 10.12, permit for extension or alteration of a non-conforming use or structure. There's no permit being sought. The person doesn't have one. And when you discuss changing the use here, a couple of times the applicant was told, well, you might have to come back for a 1012 permit. And now there's no application for a 1012 permit.
well, at the last meeting, we told them they had to come for site plan approval.
I don't know when the last
It was September 27th of 2021.
Well, the whole procedure's illegal.
Brian, can I address this or no? Or, I mean, I'll let Pam speak if she wants to finish up, and then I can address it if she'd like.
Okay. No, I whatever he addresses, I know is not correct, and you guys know it too. And I got another letter here as usual. This one states that this is an ethics violation. This isn't just a zoning violation, this is an ethics violation. And I'm gonna hold you guys as accountable as I can, because this is you're out of control. You're out of control on town projects, you're becoming out of control on private projects, and you apparently think it's fun and funny, but it isn't. And I personally don't like it. And this is nowhere near legal. It was never illegal when you talked about section 905. There's no such thing as a permit in 905. And now there is no application for a permit. And you know what you're really doing too, which Mr. Galvin's not here tonight, I guess, but I feel as though he must kind of help guide this in this way. When you do this site plan approval now, with no, like you did it with the town project, just a week or two ago. When you do a site plan approval like this, the abutters, if they did want to appeal, they basically can't, as far as I understand it. Under the state law, site plans are a local thing and not covered under the state law, and they can be approved when a permit has been given, and it's all one package. I mean, they can be appealed. But when they stand alone like this, the only real way, I guess, to appeal is to then appeal the building permit. The person has no recourse through zoning. So you're taking away a butter's rights to appeal when you do this, even if there aren't any who don't want to appeal. But that's highly, highly unethical, if you ask me. So, that's it. That's all I have to say. I've got my usual. I have a letter. I didn't send it ahead of time. I'm gonna pass it in now. And you guys are putting yourselves at risk. Maybe the Ethics Commission, they play dirty pool, but you guys are going to the Ethics Commission at some point, and this is going to be one of the, there's many things on the list, but this is going to be one of them.
Thank you. Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah, the only thing I can say to address this particular property or two properties is when the applicant first came, I mean, they came to me well ahead of time to make sure they wanted to do everything right. They did not want any sort of semblance of favoritism or anything here to have to do with this. So we went through this, and I will admit, this was just coming off the pandemic. I had only been a building commissioner for a little while, and I honestly was still learning the bylaws and the intricacies of nonconformities at that time. And I may have misdirected them at that time because if I were to look at this today, I would look at this, and then if they had come to me and they had said that, look, we just purchased this property next door, and it had a non-conforming use as a professional service of a dentistry office, and we have a non-conforming use as a retail and service. They also have two non-conforming properties. There are two non-conforming lots for that residential district, right? And then now you have purchased both. So you have common ownership of two abutting non-conforming properties. And combined in common ownership, those non-conforming properties are still non-conforming for the density and dimensional requirements. So they can never separate those lots again because they're non-conforming. They will never have grandfathered rights as a non-conformity on those properties again. So technically, now they have two non-conforming uses on one property that's considered, one property for zoning standpoint. So to extend and alter one non-conforming use into the other, to make it so that there are from two non-conforming uses on one property to one non-conforming use on the property, I think that that's something that we are actually looking to do to have less non-conformity in town. This is, look, I understand, there are been other cases that are different from this, where it is a total change, but this is something that is non-conforming, and we are making it less non-conforming, and it is extending and altering. It's extending the non-conformity on that property. It's not a change of use. It's a totally different thing. And had I known what I know now, I would have made a totally different determination. But because we wanted to be absolutely extra special careful about this, we put it to the ZBA. I mean, I had multiple meetings with Tish and everybody else about coming in my office to really hammer out how we could do the safest thing, and we thought we had it 100%. Maybe we got it wrong at that time, but you know what? At that time, the ZBA approved it. Nobody appealed it at that time, and the only decision that came out of there was that when they came for this, they would require site plan approval. That's where we are now.
Thank you, Andrew. Do you have anything else from the audience? Go ahead, Pam.
I just want to say, he's not here to defend himself, but the other thing is too, how long has this building been abandoned as far as the dentist's office goes before it was purchased? Because town council apparently said after one of the meetings a couple of weeks ago that this is totally illegal because it's been abandoned for more than 2 years.
Well, he's not here for
No,
tonight, so.
but I'm just telling you, that's one thing I happened to leave out. But I left it out of my letter, and I left it out when I was just talking.
Thank you.
If you guys weren't going to consider, Brewster Road and 16 Old Summer Street as abandoned properties, where people had died in the house and where trees had fallen through them, I can't see how you could consider a business that was legally, operating and then purchased and nothing has happened because they've been awaiting plans and proper things to literally improve the property on almost every single thing. This is totally different than what had happened a few weeks ago or whatever. They have given every aspect of what the bylaw has proposed. They're totally going to improve the area over there with the parking and every aspect. This, honestly, and I'm not just saying this, this is what I want to see from most places, is address the actual aspects of the bylaw, not what happened in other things where we just kind of waive everything. They've actually presented solutions.
Thank you, Andrew.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes?
William Finn, 96 Dog Lane, Marshfield Hills. I visit that location every day. to get my mail. And this is the first time I'm aware of the project, but from what I've seen tonight, it's an improvement over what's existing. I think it will go very well in the neighborhood. I have a little bit of a concern about the parking if this thing takes off and really is populated a lot. But I think they could probably handle it if they limit the number of people, the tables that can be set at any particular time. But I think it's an improvement to the neighborhood, and I would like to see it approved. If there is no violation involved.
Thank you.
I would like to see it approved.
Anyone else online like to speak? Okay, seeing that there's none, anything else in the room?
There's one chat question.
Oh, we don't answer those. Anything in the room?
There's asking, will there be lighting? That was one thing that I didn't see on any of the exterior architectural details. I don't know, Sean, if you can address the lighting.
I can address that, and Chris is probably going to have, Chris can also address that too. He would likely probably have a sconce light someplace. I don't want to speak for him, because he might have a couple of ideas, certainly. There may be perhaps some low-level pathway landscape lighting, but it would be very, very subtle, low voltage, 12-volt lights. Very, very subdued lighting you would have there. All of it's dark sky control. Prepare a plan for that at this point.
Lighting would be minimal. One light at each door and maybe a motion detector light, but the hours of operation would be daylight or dusk. So there's no need for nighttime illumination.
Thank you.
Andrew did address that also. He has here that,
In his notes.
yeah.
So, seeing that there's no other comments, questions, I move that we close 2319 165 Prospect Street LLC, 173 Prospect Street. Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Mark Quoven, aye.
Any comment
And I would move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's request for site plan approval, subject to conditions. Andrew, did you have conditions for this, just a building permit?
Yeah, so a building permit and, well, basically, once they file, they've got, still have a site plan to finalize with Stembeck and Taylor for the septic, so that obviously will require a final, as-built and a certificate of occupancy.
All right. Based on the finding that the proposed changes to the buildings and grounds shown on the architectural and preliminary plans meets the performance standards and design standards set forth in 1222 of the bylaw. Do I have a second? Or do we all agree with this? Andrew, can you put up the site plan?
I find it meets 1 through 10.
I find it meets 1 through 10.
Great.
Agree.
We have them in front of us. Thank you. So do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Mark Quoven, aye.
Steve Feeney, aye.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have 2320 Red Beret. Sorry, my
Close. Thanks.
Okay. The petitioner is seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-1012 of the Marshfield Municipal Code to raise the existing 22 by 32 attached garage and rebuild a 22 by 32 two-story structure on the same footprint on a property located at 73 Indian Road, which is further identified in the assessor's maps as being on parcel 115-0103 and is located in the R1 zoning district. Go ahead.
So essentially, what I'm looking to do is to take advantage of the view, which is where the existing garage is. And I know it wouldn't be suitable, given its current structure within the framing, to build on top of it. So we're going to take down what we can, according to the building permit we've submitted, and try to build up from that same structure. to get the view to the ocean. And essentially, that's the whole project in a very nutshell.
Andrew, other than your notes, do you have anything to add?
No, it's just a second-story addition to a non-conforming property. It's one of those no-brainer permits.
Thank you.
Yay.
Anything from the board? Heidi, do you have anything?
No,
Okay. Anything from the audience? Anything online? Seeing that there is none, I move that we close Brett
Bergie,
Bergie,
thank you.
thank you, 73 Upland Road, 22-30. Do I have a second?
Grover Hensey, second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensey, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Mark Cohen, aye.
Steve Feeney, aye.
Oh, yeah.
I move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's request for a special permit to allow the proposed raising of the existing 22 by 32 attached garage and rebuilding a 22 by 32 foot two-story structure in the same footprint on the property located at 73 Indian Road as shown on the building location plan by EET Incorporated dated July 15th, 2019. And additions and renovations planned by Jason E. Beal. I couldn't read the date on that, but July of '22 at some point. Subject to the conditions, this project will require a building permit and a certificate of occupancy. And we all agree this meets the special permit standards 1 through 10?
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
Since the proposed structure is essential and desirable to the public convenience or welfare, will not further create undue traffic congestion, unduly impair pedestrian safety, will not further overload any public water, drainage, or sewer system, or any municipal system, will not create hazard affecting health, safety, or general welfare, and will not impair the integrity of character of the district or adjoining zones, nor to be determined to the health or morals of welfare. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensey, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Mark Cohen, aye.
Steve Feeney, aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Brett, thank you very much. We'll give us a call tomorrow.
Thank you, guys, appreciate it.
Okay, now we have 23-21 Dog Lane. Um, 23-21 Elizabeth Barrett, trustee. The petitioner is seeking a variance in accordance with 305-1011 for the relief from 305-602 of the Table of Dimensions and Density Regulations to facilitate the construction of a single-family dwelling on the property located at 20 Dog Lane, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel G160206 and is located in the R1 zoning district. Name and address for the record.
James F. Creed Jr. of Creed Law LLC, 733B Plain Street, Marshfield, representing Elizabeth Barrett, trustee of the UCI Realty Trust.
Go ahead.
We're hoping the third time is a charm here. When we were here last, several of you had referenced the fact that that the project was still in the Conservation Commission. Conservation Commission has now issued an order of conditions. So the project can go forward within their 100 feet jurisdictional boundary. However, I believe you also have an email from Craig Hannafin, the chair of the MCC, requesting that you consider granting the variance to allow the building to be constructed outside of their 100-foot boundary. That is what the Conservation Commission would prefer. I've provided you, and Andrew, if you can call up the multicolored plan, the original plan that was submitted.
Is this it?
No, it's the other one that has the pink area on the boundaries.
Oh, jeez. There are a lot of plans in there.
Yeah, well, this one was with the original, with the submittal, the latest submittal. If you folks have your submittal, this is the plan I'm referring to. All right, so what I've done with this plan while Andrew's toying with it and trying to find it, the pink areas are those areas that define the jurisdiction of the Marshfield Conservation Commission. The solid pink lines indicate either no disturb or no build. The dash line of pink represents the extent of the Marshfield Conservation Commission's jurisdiction in its 100-foot boundary. The hash green indicates areas within the building circle where you can build but are still subject to the 100-foot boundary and the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. The green portion of the circle, the solid green portion of the circle, is the area that is outside of the 100-foot boundary and which would allow for permitted building. The yellow is the area where we're seeking to build the house but require a variance due to lot width. If Andrew, you can forget that plan and call back up the one with the yellow and the green. Your first one you put up. Oh, all right, well. There you go. So, further delineating this, the green portion also applies the zoning setbacks, as well as the yellow portion within the 100-foot boundary of the Conservation Commission. So on a 50,200 square foot lot, this is the only area where a house can be built and permitted if you apply all of the regulations of the zoning bylaw and the Conservation Commission. The area in pink within the 75-foot no disturb and no build represents 80% of the lot, or 40,160 feet of a 50,200 square foot lot. And within the 100-foot boundary, 41,666 square feet, or 83% of the lot, is rendered unbuildable solely because of the wetlands boundaries. The wetland is not an issue that the applicant created. And regardless of how the line was drawn to split this lot into two, the hardship that exists is a function of soil and topography. The soil condition being the wetland that exists along Pleasant Street, and the topography of the lot, which is the slope that also feeds that wetland. Regardless of how the lot line was drawn to split the lot, the issue is the wetland setbacks, not the splitting of the lot. So it's not an issue that the applicant created. It's an issue that pre-existed the lot. And this was the only way that this lot could be split in order to create, and what it does create, is two buildable lots. Both the pre-existing house fits within a building circle, and we can fit a building circle on this lot. The issue here to consider is, does that entitle the applicant to a variance? I would say that if the Conservation Commission wasn't asking you, in conjunction with the public good, to allow for the house to be built outside of their jurisdiction, to avoid the issues that will be necessitated by building on the slope and the potential effects on the wetland, that you would probably be in a better position to deny it. Of course, you could still deny it. But I think that the public good that the Conservation Commission is asking you to consider should be an overarching feature in conjunction with the hardship that exists on the lot due solely to the wetland setbacks. I mean, you have a lot here that exceeds the minimum lot size by more than 7,000 square feet, and there's only this postage stamp where you can build on it. And that postage stamp happens to be on a slope of 32 feet that drops from 82 feet to 50 feet. over those 32 feet. In essence, that's the argument that we make. Oh, one other thing, the planning board, and I was unaware of this until this afternoon, the planning board asked for and received and approved a plan showing a potential to build a driveway from Pleasant Street to the house. I don't know where that comes from, I've never heard of it before. It's certainly not a driveway that we're gonna build, but Dana did provide a plan, and the planning board, Mr. Guimond approved it. But for whatever reason, the planning board hasn't signed off on the foundation permit. Andrew, I think, can speak to this. We don't know why they haven't addressed that. They've approved everything else. There are no outstanding conditions or questions that they're asking.
Andrew, do you have anything to add to that?
I don't really know. They didn't comment back on why they haven't approved the building permit. I thought they had given the plan to the planning board that showed that there could be a continuous driveway on Upland's land all the way to Pleasant Street. Again, this plan doesn't show it, but I don't know if I can show it on one of these other ones, but they did show that a driveway could go all the way across on Upland around where the creek comes in on that property. But they didn't approve the building permit just yet. But all my comments were based off of this plan, which went to the Conservation Commission. So this is, basically the size of a house that could potentially fit within zoning and conservation setbacks and regulations. And this is kind of the only thing that I feel like could potentially work in this location.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the board?
Well, if I'm correct, we're pretty much past the point about this being a buildable lot. That's correct.
Correct.
Right? You can get a permit, you can build that.
Correct.
That location. So pretty much we'll,
So,
go ahead, please.
I'm sorry, I wanted to add this earlier, this is where it is approved. You're right, Larry. It's just a matter of literally the topography there. The Conservation Commission would rather it not be there. They'd rather see it in a different location.
Did anybody identify, is this the different location, and where is the location they prefer it be?
Heidi, if looking at the plan that's up right now,
I just stay in line.
oh, there you go, there you go. Thank you, Andrew.
Yep.
Sorry.
Well, you're giving us vertigo, Andrew.
That's the difference. So you can put this size house in this location behind the 75-foot wetland setback and within the building circle, or they could put this sized house outside of the building circle, outside of the wetlands buffer on a normal grade in line with the other houses on top.
Would that not be,
That was the original variance, and then the request was, can they prove that they could build an actual house on the property? And that's kind of where we're at tonight.
okay.
Anyone else on the board have any?
Yeah, my objections are the same as they have been. The applicant created this lot, they created their own hardship. They've now shown that the lot is a buildable lot, and it's just a question of how much money they want to make. So they can put a house in the lot, it's just not going to give them the net return that they're looking for. So I don't see that as a hardship. I don't see that they meet the standard for the granting of a variance.
I do see that the wetlands are a hardship. they're given a hardship for lesser things, like water in your backyard when it rains. So I do see that that would be a hardship with the wetlands there, and I don't think it's because of the lot. I agree with Attorney Bree, but I don't think it's because of they split the lot. The wetlands were there regardless. I don't think that if I was a neighbor there, I would want that house behind me. I would rather have it in line with the other ones because it's just ridiculous, to be honest with you.
Well,
And the
that's, but
Conservation
Heidi,
Commission-
that's the zoning bylaw. The town of
Regardless, I
Marshfield,
don't-
in their
I think
wisdom,
they
enacted
meet the
that,
hardship.
the town of Marshfield, in their wisdom, enacted that, that building circle. That was there when they created this lot 2 years ago, or a year ago. They created this lot, they knew the wetlands were there. It's not, the wetlands aren't a mystery. They created this, they
Wetlands are
created their
hardship.
hardship. They don't meet the standard, they've got to meet all 5 separate and distinct from each other. And they don't. They're not even close.
I would have to say I agree with what Heidi's saying here, and especially aesthetically moving the house forward to the street off of Dog Lane compared to off of Pleasant Street. If you drive up to this, it's going to look much more uniform, much more fitting into the community than having it set back in people's backyards.
I've heard public good a few times mentioned. Who is this benefiting? What part of the public is it benefiting?
I could see it benefiting the entire community, that neighborhood especially. There is going to be, one of the things I wanted to confirm was the fact that this is a buildable lot. Now we've gotten to the point where something is going to be built there. Now let's build something that's the best for the community, the best for the town, aesthetically pleasing, all of the above.
I remember the last meeting, there was a neighbor on either one side or both sides had something to say. One was online last time, but
Yep, the gentleman to the right said that as long as it was a buildable lot, that there were rules and regulations to abide by, but he didn't want to sell any of his property to make it buildable.
Yep.
And the lady to the left that was on the original home, she didn't want it. She was opposed to it.
So now, does anyone in the audience care to speak? Name and address again.
Go ahead first.
Name and address for the record.
Shannon Fullerton, 36 Dog Lane. So I purchased 36 Dog Lane from, I guess, this trustee from Dana Juniors. From what I understand, he purchased the entire 3 acres with the existing house and then subdivided the lot so that he could have another buildable lot. Gave me about 1 acre with the existing house. And when I signed paperwork for the closing documents, we did have a map with a building circle that I had to sign off, and so did Elizabeth Barrett, the trustee, that the house that they proposed to be built was to be built within the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction as, I guess, I'm not sure if it's this one, I can't see this very well, but basically, so it was gonna be kitty corner behind my house. That was fine with me. That's
So this
that's what
current,
I signed
the
off
current
on.
drawing that's up there, you're okay with that? Well, that's,
It's their original plan,
Yeah.
right. They said they were gonna build within that building circle, and I signed off on that plan at closing, and so did Elizabeth Barrett, who was acting for the builder. I think since then, he figured out that he can't build what he wants to build within that circle, so he kept coming back to conservation, changing the plan multiple times to make it small enough to fit their criteria. And I've been to all the commission meetings. The take-home I thought that we got from that was that it did meet all the criteria finally on that last plan, but there were gonna be multiple, I don't know what to call them, just multiple ways they can ensure that he wasn't going to be affecting the stream, wasn't going to be affecting, trees that need to come out. There was just going to be some sort of I guess, benchmarks he had to meet in order to, put the house there, which I think all of the neighbors that are here today and online were fine with. But now, it seems like he doesn't want to deal with, having the environmentalist over his head with a weekly site visit, which is what they approved. I don't know why somebody from conservation is saying, we think it should be moved forward. I don't understand that, because I think the takeaway was, yes, you can build here with these stipulations. The builder doesn't want to, deal with those stipulations, and now wants to move this directly next to my house, which was never the plan when I purchased the property. So I don't think you should grant a variance for that. The house doesn't fit in any building circle without that variance. And none of our neighbors that are here today want the house directly next to me.
Well, we're gonna let you all speak, so.
So that is my 2 cents, I guess, about this. I feel like, signing a legal document with this guy that said where he was gonna build the house and then he changes it, I really don't like that. I don't think that's fair to do when it was already signed off on in the first place.
If I may address the plan issue at closing?
Sure.
I've spoken with Elizabeth Barrett since the last hearing, who is the owner of the property as trustee, and that was a proposed and preliminary plan that was presented at closing to show Ms., is it Bulletin?
Yeah.
To show her where the house could be built.
Building circle.
It was not a final plan. I don't believe it was even a stamped plan. It just tried to show her where the house could be built given the current regulations. There was never any agreement that a variance would not be applied for, or that was where the house definitively was going to be built.
I'm pretty sure, though, that location is the only location on the entire lot that was subdivided off where a actual house would fit in the building circle, which is why it was there in the first place.
Bill?
Yeah, my name is William Finn, 96 Dog Lane, Marshfield Hills. I have several questions in that statement. I attended both the Conservation Commission hearings on this project and this hearing, except I missed one. I didn't know you had. So I have several questions. What is the square footage of the house footprint and the total square footage of this particular location? The square footage of, well, somebody ought to be able to answer that question.
When you say the square footage of the location, what are you referring to?
Square footage of the house, the footprint of the house.
Well,
What is the square footage of the footprint of the house?
I went to Marshfield High School and got straight D's in math, but the dimensions of the house are 26 by 36, and the small addition is 12 by 22. If somebody can do the math faster than me, they can come up with the square footage.
1,200 square feet.
So the existing.
1,200 square feet exactly.
That's within
That plan shows a house with 1,200 square feet footage.
Yeah, for the main footprint.
What is the total square footage of the house as proposed?
You mean the
30
one
by
that's forward?
32.
Up,
Saying
the
like how many
whole
floors would it
living,
be?
the second floor, what's the total square footage of the house?
I don't have that
I'm
information.
trying to establish the size of this house
Versus the other
versus
one.
the size of the house that he's proposing to build. What is the difference? That's my question.
Well, you can call up the other plan, which shows that proposed house, and you can at least
It
get
shows
the...
the square footage of the footprint, but it doesn't show the total square footage. I'm after
Right.
both numbers.
Let me know when I can give a full answer.
Andrew, can you pull up the other plan? So we got 30 by 32 and 26 by 24. Anyone that wants to answer.
Rob's got it. He's got his
Tell us
calculator.
the numbers.
Andrew's doing them, I think. I don't know.
1532.
It's 1,200 versus 1532.
So there's a significant difference in size of the footprint. Not only the size of the footprint, but I would imagine there's a serious significant difference in terms of the total square footage of living area in the house. Now, that's one question. So he's building a bigger house That's one of the reasons he wants to get out of that's one of the reasons he's applying for the variance, because he wants to build a bigger house on a lot that he created, that is not, that he can already build a house on. So he doesn't really have a need for a variance. There's no hardship. He can build a house on the existing lot. He wants to get out of that circle because he can build a bigger house. That's his motivation. And there's no other motivation involved. The second question I have is, how much closer to the street, away from the slope, is the proposed house? He's moving it forward. Supposedly that's a benefit. He's moving it forward from the back slope. How many feet forward is it from the existing, from the approved house? How much closer to Dog Lane is it? How much further away from the slope is it?
Oh, I see what you're asking. So basically, it's probably, looks like,
73 and 90?
no, well, from the point, if you go point to point, would be 26 feet to the setback, and the other one is, so it's 26 feet forward of the closest point.
So he's moving the house forward 26 feet.
Right.
And for that, he gets how many square feet in addition to that in size, in terms of a building size? He gets a significant increase in the size of the building for moving the house 23 feet closer to Dog Lane. The next question is, when he moves that closer to Dog Lane, how many trees are saved in terms of that he doesn't have to cut down on that slope and prevent the erosion that's going to occur on that slope? How many trees are being saved? Nobody knows.
At least a half a dozen, from my understanding.
At least a half a dozen from your understanding, but, you know, that's
Well, let's put it this way, there's not going to be any work on the slope, whereas there's going to be significant work on the slope in order to build the house that the Conservation Commission approved, including a fairly extensive retaining wall, which is shown in the upper right-hand corner. So there's going to be some significant work within that area that's going to not happen if the variance is granted and the house is pulled out of that area.
I don't know.
That's the reason why the Conservation Commission chair wrote the email. She didn't write it so that we could make more money, or my client could make more money. She wrote it because they would prefer that disturbance not occur within the 100-feet boundary of their jurisdiction. Unless they're conspiring with Mr. Junior to help him make more money, which I tend to doubt.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if you're allowing cross-discussion here, so I'm going to go
It
through.
all's coming through
I'm
me.
going to go through you, okay? My question is, I guess the question that I asked and Mr. Creed answered, there may be 6 trees saved that would be lost under the proposed one that was approved by the Conservation Commission. The thing about the Conservation Commission approval is that there are very stringent controls on what happens on that slope in the order of conditions that they have issued. And there's also a very serious inspection program proposed that would all be lost if he moves the house out of the control of the Conservation Commission. There's nobody looking after that slope. Nobody is saying that the people that buy the house can't cut down those trees, or that those trees wouldn't be cut down because nobody's watching it. Under the Conservation Commission approval, there are significant controls over what's going to happen on that slope. So, since I can't determine how many trees will be cut down, my last point is I would like to go through the conditions that you have to meet, and I know you know them, but I'm not sure everybody here in the room knows them.
For the variance?
the variance.
We'll walk through, we
During the
will,
variance.
yeah, we will walk through that.
Well, okay, I'm gonna walk through it anyway, if that's okay.
It's okay, Bill, go ahead.
Before any variance is granted, the board must find all of the following conditions to be present. One, the conditions and circumstances are unique to the applicant's lot, structure, or building and do not apply to the neighboring lands, structures, or building in the same district. I don't see how this is, different. I don't see how you can meet that. There's nothing unique about this property, or the structure that he's proposing that differs it from the neighborhood. I've lived in that neighborhood 46 years, and there's nothing different. Second, the strict application of the provisions of this bylaw would deprive the applicant of reasonable use of the lot. Baloney. He's got a house approved by the Conservation Commission. It doesn't deprive him of anything. You can't meet that one. The third one, unique conditions and circumstances are not the result of the actions of the applicant taken subsequent to the adoption of this bylaw. He created this situation. He knew exactly what he was doing. He's in here for a variance because he knew exactly what he was doing. He was trying to build a bigger house. He had to get a variance to do it. And so he was well aware of the fact that he could build a house on that property if he got through the Conservation Commission. The real difference is, in terms of conservation, was whether that stream was a perennial stream or an intermittent stream. The perennial stream would have given the Conservation Commission 200 feet from the bank of the stream jurisdiction. We didn't argue, or I didn't argue, the fact that it was a perennial or intermittent stream because we were in a drought. And we would have had to get the DEP in there to get all kinds of determinations made. So I let that go. But if it had been judged to be a perennial stream, the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission would have been right out to Dog Lane. So, this man knew exactly what he was doing when he divided that lot. And the unique circumstances are a result of his actions. And the last two, relief of approval will not cause substantial detriment to the public good. I haven't heard anything about the public good yet, actually, one thing. Or impair the purposes or intent of this bylaw. I don't think that this fits that criteria. And finally, relief, if approved, will not constitute a grant of special privilege inconsistent with the limitations upon other properties in the district. A much larger house closer to Dog Lane is not consistent with the neighborhood. And I think the neighborhood is here saying it's not.
So in your opinion, Bill, you're not for this?
In my opinion, I'm not for it, and I don't think anybody here is.
Mr. Creed is.
I am,
Well,
most
Mr.
certainly.
Creed, Jay and I go back a long way. We've had our differences before.
Were you his math teacher?
No,
Bill's actually,
that's for sure. I
now
was. I look good.
aren't you the consultant for our Conservation Commission?
I am a consultant to the Conservation Commission, but I did not appear
For the, I
before the
understand.
Conservation Commission as a consultant, but I appeared as an abutter.
Yes.
And I'm appearing as an abutter here. And what I do for the Conservation Commission has nothing to do with this hearing.
Actually, I beg to differ. What do you think about the commissioner's statement that it could, taking the trees out could affect the stability of the hill?
I'm sorry, Ed.
The commissioner stated that
Andrew, can you put up the letter from the Conservation Commission? Yeah, I don't
the
understand
plan
if it says
presented
all
to
of them
us,
or her.
nevertheless, from a conservation perspective, it would be preferable to move the house closer to the street and as far as possible from the steep bank and at the rear of the property. The commission has concerns about the removal of several large trees that may impact the integrity of this bank, causing erosion and degrading of the stream below.
Well,
So if they remove that and they build this, You being a consultant, don't have any
I am not a
concerns?
consultant to the commission on this project. So I have no opinion. My opinion is as an abutter. I'm not giving any kinds of opinions to this board or to the Conservation Commission as a consultant to the commission.
But in your opinion, Bill, that stability given through the conservation makes the slope, gives it more integrity by building where they're saying?
I believe that the Conservation Commission has provided, in the order of conditions, very stringent controls over what happens on that slope. And if he is able to get an approval of a variance from this board, he moves out of that control. He moves away from that. Those conditions that are in the order of conditions no longer apply to the property. He doesn't have to obey them. There's nothing that this commission is saying that would give approval if he gets a variance that he can't cut down the trees. What's to prevent him from cutting down the trees anyway?
So that's within the buffer, so he's allowed?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have anything from the other neighbors? Name and
Andy
address?
Schlosser, 35 Dog Lane. I live right across the street from the proposed property, and I've said this before, I've also done many of the meetings, and I appreciate Bill's comments, and he's very passionate about it, talking about the stream and all. This lot, you're damned if you do, damned if you're not. It's a terrible lot. It should never have been subdivided, in my humble opinion, because it's really a terrible building lot. But, living across the street from it, and I agree with Shannon, there was an understanding when she bought the property that the house would be in a certain place if they were to build it. And I believe that when when it was subdivided, they knew what they were getting into. I agree with the
Bald guy.
gentleman, Paul, thank you, Paul.
My math.
You know, this was a hardship that was created. There was no hardship created. It was already there. They knew what they were getting into. So I think that the fact that it's been approved now, we can't do anything about that, I guess. But I think it should stay within the regulations of what's been proposed and not be granted the exemption.
Okay. Anyone else? Name and address for the record.
Wendy Moriarty, 41 Dog Lane. So I'm across from Shannon in Kitty Corner from the corner of of 20. And my question is, like, to bring the house closer to Dog Lane, the driveway, how is the driveway going to be on Pleasant Street without having a problem with the creek? But if you bring it closer to Dog Lane, now you're ripping up all the rhododendrons that are on the bank that help keep the erosion, and it's a pretty steep hill. And so when the water does run, it runs, and it does kind of flood towards the other side of Pleasant Street there. So I'm just curious how that...
From my understanding is, I spoke to Greg today, he said they just had to show them that they could erect a driveway, that it's not necessarily going there, it's probably gonna go on Dog Lane.
Just that it was possible.
Yeah, they just had to show that it was, they had
It's a very narrow, especially that curve is very narrow.
right, so that.
So to put a driveway
I
in,
understand the driveway is gonna access from Dog Lane.
just sounds like danger.
Anyone else care to speak?
I'm 35 Dog Lane as well.
Oh, okay.
Robbie Boston.
Bill?
No, let this lady finish.
Okay.
I don't really have much to say, but I do think it's a manufactured situation that he got himself in. He had assumed that Chris would sell him that little strip of land on the other side, and it probably all would have been hunky-dory, but he just went ahead and didn't really think it all the way through.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for Shannon because I feel like she bought it with the understanding it was going to be a certain thing, and now he's trying to change it. And I'm concerned about any environmental impact as well. I didn't know that, but now I understand that, and I have a great concern about that.
Regarding a driveway, this is the first I've heard of a driveway from Pleasant Street to Dog Lane on that lot.
No, it was just, they had to prove there was a Pleasant Street access, but I believe the access will be from Dog Lane, from what Greg told me.
Saying, but I'm saying, I would want to guarantee you that gonna be a real problem if anybody ever tried to bring a driveway up to Dog Lane from Pleasant Street. That's a real problem.
Well, all they did was prove it. They're not coming that way. They're coming from Dog
I understand they
Lane.
proved it to the planning board.
Correct.
That's all. They didn't prove it to the Conservation
Oh, I
Commission
understand.
or anybody else.
If I
That
if I
thing's
may.
gonna be a disaster.
Jay would like to answer.
Bill, the requirement was a planning board requirement. It wasn't,
Okay.
it wasn't a builder's requirement. The planning board forced Mr. Junior to prove that he could build a driveway from Pleasant Street to the house.
I
To the
understand.
house
Okay,
location. So it had,
so-
it's not anything that we propose or nothing that was before the, look, according to everybody on the board, we're trying to make money. We're not gonna build a highway from Pleasant Street to the house.
That's
That,
exactly what would have to
that
happen.
wouldn't make us money.
I understand now that it was just a requirement of the planning board to say, can you do it? Not, are you gonna do it?
Correct.
Okay.
So does anyone else need to speak?
This is Chris Roberts from 10 Dog Lane.
Yep.
I kind of concur with what's been said by Bill in that, this really doesn't come down to a hardship, it's a matter of profitability. And he's just trying to maximize the profitability that he's going to get from one house, pulling it forward, being able to build a much larger house. And he doesn't really care about the environment or anything that's going on with conservation. It's pure profitability. That's all it is. So I just like to see him play by the same rules as everybody else, that's all. Just like I said last time. Thank you.
Okay, do we have anything further? Anyone else care to speak? All right, so I will
Move to close the hearing.
move to close the
If
hearing.
I can give you two final thoughts.
Oh, sure,
That I'll
go
leave
ahead.
you with. Regardless of what anybody thinks about what Mr. Junior's motivations are, I doubt very much that Craig Hannafin, the chair of the Marshfield Conservation Commission, has those same motivations. Her concern is the environment and protecting the wetlands. And I believe that the memo that she sent to you were her heartfelt feelings about where this property should go and what shouldn't happen within their 100-foot jurisdiction, notwithstanding the protections that Mr. Finn has referenced that are part of that order of conditions. The Conservation Commission would prefer that this be outside of their jurisdiction because they've determined that that would better protect the wetland and the environment. And with regard to variances, I'll leave you with this quote from Kavanaugh v. De Flumera, 9 Mass Appeals Court 396 at page 400. The requirement of substantial derogation recognizes that the effect of a variance is to give a landowner a license or permit to use his property in a manner otherwise violative of the zoning ordinance. The purpose of a variance is to allow you to vary from the bylaw. The bylaw is not a cross that you can crucify people on. That's why the variance provision is there.
Thank you. So, I'll make a motion to close 23-21, Elizabeth Barrett, trustee, 20 Dog Lane. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Go Benzie, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Mark Wall, aye.
Steve Feeney, aye.
Ed Conway, aye.
Do you guys want to have any discussion on this? See how you feel, or does everyone know how they feel? They want to discuss?
When one of the neighbors comes to get a variance to do a large addition off the back, are we gonna approve it?
What did you say, Trevor?
If someone comes to
Well, that's-
get a variance on their property,
They wouldn't need a variance. I think that's a
if
building
someone
code.
needed a
So
variance in that area, we would deny it.
Andrew, that's a building code issue, right? It's a building thing, so.
I couldn't really hear JJ, I'm sorry.
If someone else on that street came for a variance for some kind of relief, we would most likely deny it. I'm just saying
you
by
mean
previous things we've done. I mean, we've denied 2 variances in the last, 4 meetings. I just don't see.
I mean, I wouldn't deny anything, I've sent it to the ZBA, so it would be the same process these guys are going through.
And everyone, the idea is we hold everyone to the same standard. I mean, last week I spoke out against the town seeking a variance, and
They
they've since
fixed it.
withdrawn.
Well, they fixed it. They're coming back tonight.
I get what you're saying, Brian. I do absolutely see what you're saying. My big thing from the start of this was whether this was going to be a buildable lot. I think we've gone past that now. We've confirmed that it is a buildable lot. He is a builder. There is gonna be a house built there. Now, it's just a matter of what's gonna be built. The conservation, they sent their recommendation. Their suggestion is moving it out of that circle and allowing it. I personally think, as Mr. Creed said, that variances are there for a reason. I've driven up there several times. I don't live far from there at all. I think the location that the builder was proposing is a substantially better location for this. That's my view on it. I think when you do have a house there a year from now, if it ends up at this location, I think you're gonna be substantially happier. But I'm just one vote here. But you're gonna have you drive up there, he's gonna build a house there. It's gonna be out in the back of where you're living. That's, again, I'm one vote, that's the way I see this.
Heidi, do you have anything to add, or?
I do, like, the houses on Dog Lane, they're all of significant size. You know, we've got some 4,500 plus, 2,900 plus, 3,600 plus square feet houses. So, you know, this house is not in line with what other people already have up there. So that is not a concern of mine. My concern is, I don't really have that much of a concern. You do want to see, you know, where they're gonna put the rest of the stuff, but they'll come back for that. But I do believe that this is a better location for the house. I do agree with conservation. I do think they meet the criteria for the variance, because I don't believe that it was created by them. Yes, they divided the lot, but the stream was there, the wetlands, whatever, the stream was there. So I disagree with Brian Sullivan. And I don't believe that people should be penalized for asking for a variance. Everybody has the right, every person has the right that owns land to have to apply for a variance. We make the determination if it can fly or not, if they meet the criteria. I do believe that this application does.
You have anything, Mark?
I'm good.
Steve, you have anything to add?
No, not really. I kind of agree with what Larry said about whether it was buildable a lot or not. We determined that, and then, you know, he had a legal right to subdivide it at some point, and then, so I agree with what Larry said. Now it's according to the Conservation Commission, it's in a better spot for them. But I understand other people's concerns, but the overall view that I take is that it's something that should be done, but that's my opinion.
Okay.
Well, Heidi said that someone shouldn't be punished for seeking a variance. And I would agree, but no one's punishing somebody by not granting a variance. You either meet the criteria or you do not. If you do not meet the criteria, you're not being punished, you're just being denied a variance, to which you're not entitled.
Let me clarify that for you, Brian.
It's a straightforward proposition. Either you meet the standard or you don't, and they do not meet the standard. The stream was there when they created the lot. The building circle was there when they created the lot. They created the lot knowing that of that circle, and that they obviously knew that when they were at the closing. They said this is where the house would go, because that's what zoning permits.
So that's not accurate information, because we don't have any paperwork or anything to confirm that was determined that that's exactly where the house was going to go.
We have the testimony of the woman that bought the house.
I sent in
I
my
respectfully
paperwork.
disagree with you.
Speak, we're closed.
Oh, sorry.
We have the testimony of the person that bought the house, and she submitted a copy of the letter that was signed at the closing. So we do have evidence to that effect.
So,
and again, they created the lot. The stream didn't appear overnight. The wetlands were there, the stream was there, the circle was there. All of that was there when they created an unbuildable lot, or so we thought. And which turns out it is buildable.
Correct. It is buildable.
They can put a house on the lot.
With that being
But
said,
they have the right to apply for a variance. This is what they're doing, and I believe that they meet the criteria. So I respectfully disagree with what you think, which is fine. That's why we're here.
Amen.
with the previous owner that bought the existing home, they were aware of the fact there was going to be a house.
Yes.
They were aware of it, that the
Yes.
intent of this builder was to put put another residential structure there.
Yes.
Now that he's gone to the point where he's got it buildable, that it is confirmed buildable lot, now he's going through the process of relocating it to the best use of this property. I think he meets the
Did you have the
criteria.
right to do?
That's right. I fully agree with Heidi.
So, are we ready to vote?
Is it
I'm
five-
ready.
Yep.
5 members?
Oh, who's voting?
Five vote.
I don't think I can vote.
Right, so you wanna, not necessarily, Mark. Do you wanna read the, in the positive? I'm gonna give Mark,
Well, you've got to run through the 1
we
through 5
gotta go through the
criteria.
variance criteria
So
first.
let's determine who's voting.
I am doing that right now. We're all gonna vote anyways, because we always do, but I'm gonna, give my vote the gift that keeps on giving to Mark.
Thanks.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
number 1, conditions and circumstances are unique to the applicant's lot, structure, or building, and do not apply to the neighboring land, structures, or buildings in the same district.
Everyone good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I do
Strict
not,
app, okay.
I do not think that there are
All right, so we have to
circumstances
vote on
unique to
these.
the
Right,
applicant's
so,
lot.
condition and circumstances are unique to the applicant's lot, structure, or building and do not apply to the neighboring land, structure, or buildings in the same district. You have to all agree to that if that standard is met. So Heidi?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
JJ?
No.
Brian?
No.
Oh, you're not voting. Mark?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Strict application of the provisions of this bylaw would deprive the applicant of reasonable use of the lot, structure, building, or manner equivalent of the use permitted made by other owners in the neighboring land, structures, or buildings in the same district. Heidi, how do you feel about that? You agree?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
JJ?
No.
Mark?
Yes.
Yes.
The unique conditions and circumstances are not the result of actions of the applicant taken subsequent to the adoption of this bylaw. Heidi, yes or no?
They are unique.
Larry?
Yes, I agree.
JJ?
No.
Mark?
Yes.
Agree. Relief, if approved, will not cause substantial detriment to the public good or impair the purposes of the intent of this bylaw. Heidi? You agree with that?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
JJ?
No.
Marks? Steve?
Yes.
Relief, if approved, will not constitute a grant of special privilege inconsistent with the limitations upon other properties in the district. Heidi, do you agree with that?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
JJ?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
So, that's it for the criteria, correct?
That's 1 through 5.
Yep. So, now I'm gonna let you word mince the thing. Doing it in the positive. I got nothing in front of me. Motion to approve the variance.
Then it's, I move the board vote to grant the petitioner's application for a variance from the dimensional bylaw requirements, subject to the following conditions.
Everyone agreed with those?
I do.
Yep. So,
Based on a finding the applicant has demonstrated, meets all the requirements of section 10.11 of the bylaw.
Heidi? Motion to,
Yes.
yep. I
Yes.
already made it, so. Larry?
Yes.
JJ?
No.
Mark?
Yes.
All right. It passes 4-1. You got that, Nancy?
Yeah, did you close? Yeah, you closed before.
I closed it.
So the voting, just want to confirm the voting people.
Heidi,
Heidi,
Larry, JJ,
JJ,
Mark, and Steve.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks for your time.
Now we're on to Eugenia and Gregory Toppy. Did I pronounce? Are you here?
I am.
Oh. The petitioners are seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-1109 of the Marshfield Municipal Code to create an accessory apartment in the yet-to-be-constructed rear addition of the property located at 15 Whitford Circle, further identified on the assessor's maps as being parcel 1050215, and is located in the R2 zoning district. Go ahead.
I'm Dick Rockwood from Rockwood Design, here with Greg Toppy and Carly from my office to talk about his special permit application here. We are, let's see, we are non-conforming on that side over there. Let's see, if I get that right, is it 20, what are we, an R1 here? I'm sorry.
R2.
We're an R2, so we have to be 15 feet on the side.
15, that's right.
Right, so we are conforming. So we are here for the...
You're conforming, Dick, you just need a special permit.
Yeah, for the in-law, okay.
Accessory apartment.
Okay, yes, thank you. Been a while.
Now, you realize that, just so we understand, Andrew, at town meeting, the accessory apartments are going to be of right as of this coming town meeting. So, right, I mean, even if you can get this tonight.
If it passes at town
Well, if it
meeting, let's
passes.
put it this way, Brian. There's a proposal for town meeting to alter the bylaw to make this a by right approval that would be handled through the building department instead of a special permit.
But you can,
Provided you meet all the criteria.
well,
still
once, even if we
otherwise.
approve it tonight, and then,
Yeah.
it'll just fall, you won't have to do all those yearly things and all that.
Right, that's good.
So, go ahead.
Yeah. So we're under the 40%. It's pretty much the shape of what shows the proposed addition up there that was in red. Here you are. And then we're putting a few other additions on the house, but the house is, I thought it was one of those non-conforming at first there, sorry.
So you're here for the,
Just for the special permit for the apartment.
Okay.
Accessory dwelling.
Any questions from the board?
Frank, can I just jump in?
Yeah.
Planning board and Board of Health weighed in on this?
I saw that.
Okay.
Andrew, do you want to put up their comments? I thought planning was okay. That's Board of Health. How many bedrooms are in the current house, Dick?
4, but we're gonna lose one.
To do this?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. And what did, I don't think, did Greg say anything on this?
Yeah.
Can't see.
So, second page.
Oh, he just wrote conforming lot, no special permit needed for addition.
No, this one here, need a site plan to show grading setbacks and lot
Oh, I
coverage. House located in WRPD, right?
Yeah,
For Webster wells 1 and 2, these wells have a nitrogen loading problem, and town board should be consider adding a requirement for denitrifying septic system be required when adding accessory apartments in non-sewer water resource protection areas.
You're not adding any bedrooms.
yeah, we're not adding any bedrooms,
Not
so
adding
it doesn't apply.
Sure.
All right, thank you. So, go ahead.
That's just their comments.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. You done, is that everything? Okay. That's it. Any questions from the board?
No.
Any questions from the audience at home? At home, online? And no one, nothing? All right, I'll make a motion that I
Move to
find the
close
right
the hearing.
thing. Yeah, move to close the hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye?
Mark Corwin, aye.
Steve Feeney, aye.
And
Hi, Brian.
thank you, Heidi. I move that the board grant the petitioner's request for a special permit to create an accessory apartment in the yet-to-be-constructed rear addition on the property located at 15 Whitford Circle, as shown on the certified location plan by Stenbeck and Taylor, Incorporated, dated February 22nd, 2023, and the progress plans from Rockwood Design dated 12/23/22, 11 pages. Subject to the following conditions, that the bedroom, 4 bedrooms be there when the minimum when you're done. This project will require water conservation devices to be installed for all new installations, including low-flow shower heads and water-efficient toilets. This will require a building permit, final as-built certificate of occupancy. The accessory apartment must be recertified with the building department no later than January 31st of each year. Do we all agree with 1 through 10 in our standards?
I do.
I do.
Yes, sir.
Do I have a second? Thank you. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Mark Corwin, aye.
Steve Feeney, aye.
So just take the top 5 on that, okay? Yeah. All right, thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Congrats.
Now, I don't see the town guys here, so we can take Bob.
Yeah.
All right, Bob Evans. I ran into Bob, and he had questions for the board.
Bill.
Bill Evans, 108 Holyoke. Go ahead.
Do you have, I dropped off.
Andrew's got everything up there that you
definitely,
need.
definitely. All right, good. So I made a terrible mistake and I built a workshop that is over the property line. It's town-owned property. The DPW bought it for protecting the well. It's a 19-acre parcel surrounded by 800 acres of conservation land. Andrew's given me the option to move it. And my problem is there's a huge oak tree that's going to come into play, moving the building. And I'm trying to get a feel from the board as to whether there's any, if there'd be consideration if I go through the process. I'm sorry, I apologize, I'm jumbled. I thought you guys would have the cover letter.
Oh, we have it.
Oh, we do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
we
Oh,
read
good.
it.
Do you need, we read it.
Oh, thank you.
Did you want to read?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
read it, so.
No, that's good. I got quite a lesson here tonight. Number 3 is gonna take some pretty tricky work on me. In other words, are you guys just gonna say, hey, dummy, why'd you build such a big building?
We're not gonna call you a dummy.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we're just here to go to, you've come here to ask us for our opinion or, guidance as to which way
Yes,
we think you
please,
should go.
please.
What exactly, because I have so many different lines, so many different things highlighted.
It's very confusing. If you want to.
What is the actual
show
property
us
line?
the actual property
You
line.
have 3 pieces, correct?
That's the property line right there.
One.
That's what you
This
want.
is the
Yep.
That's the problem building. That's the
Yeah.
part I'm over. This is an existing foundation that's 14 feet off the property line.
It's not yours.
Yeah, and the oak tree is like right here, and I have to come, the 8 feet, no matter what, to satisfy Andrew. But I'm hoping that you guys will cut me a little slack, because I have to, do 6 more pilings here. And I'm scared to death that I'm gonna hit this oak. Like I say, it's 100 years old. I've lived here for 45 years. Andrew, can you show that picture that's marked north? Well, actually, you guys seen the pictures too?
We
I've
did.
seen everything that's.
Are those your lots also, the 2 sliver lots in front of it?
Yes, everything that way is mine.
All right, so the
And
red,
everything
the red,
this way is
yeah.
the DPW.
The workshop?
No, go back.
Yes, it's a
Andrew, could you
workshop.
go back to that, please?
Was that-
The map?
The map.
Andrew.
Right there. Those 2 lots, no, all right, that's your lot right there you're talking.
Yeah,
That
this
triangle,
is all
yeah.
my-
You own all that
Yeah,
land.
all the way down and all the
Oh.
way back up.
Okay.
It's highlighted in red on one of the pictures.
Yeah,
On the
so-
plot plan picture.
So lot and corners staked.
So you've got a shed over, you've got a wood foundation on pilings, is that yours?
No, that's the town's, and
The-
that's gone.
The wood foundation on pilings right there?
This
To the
one?
right, up, yep, right with the hand, is that yours?
Oh, it's just, no, it was I wish you could, the real
We-
plot plan is, no,
Yeah.
that's not there. This was 2
Well, we
months
can go
ago.
to the drawing and you can show us what's there. All right, so get our bearings here.
Oh, here's the swimming pool.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my, huh?
Bet you it must be your house, right? Yeah, we're going backwards. Whoops. So there we are at Google Earth.
Somewhere over in here is something that they identified as a wood foundation on pilings, but I can't really see it from.
Yeah, it's all been cleaned up. Everything has been taken off the town property except that building. There's no pile of wood, this isn't here, that's not there. There's a couple of pictures that show it.
So that shed down here, that's not yours, right?
Staging
These
with
things?
building materials?
No, that should.
Okay, let's go right to left.
Yeah.
The shed.
Start with
is
that one, that
there?
shed.
This is.
No, the next shed up.
Far right.
Far right.
Keep going.
Your other right.
Oh, yeah, no, that's,
Is that there?
wow, is that over? Holy crap.
Is that there?
Yeah, that is there, but it's
Is
not mine.
that, is that, okay. Now, the other shed that's on your property and the town property, is that there?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
But it's
that-
just a fence,
but-
it's not really
No, it says shed.
Well, I know, but it's fence posts with plastic on top. It's a shelter, if you will.
Okay, well, you're gonna move that, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Then let's keep going. Staging with building materials. Are
Gone.
those yours?
Gone,
Those are gone.
gone.
Wood foundation on piles.
Gone.
That's gone. So all we're talking about is this 6 foot 7 inch encroachment.
Yes.
Okay, why can't you cut down the oak tree?
Oh, shit.
The boat's still there.
No, well, the boat's on my property.
It's also
Yeah,
It's
owns
on
both
Norwich
those.
Street.
Yeah.
It's on Norwich Street. Yeah.
I mean, this is, again, this,
It's pretty recent,
Norwich
right?
Street isn't built, is it?
yeah, but I mean,
map?
it doesn't,
Yeah.
it doesn't
The
really.
boat's been there
It's
for a
not
long
really,
time.
yeah, it's not really a road.
The road's not built.
I mean, it's a paper road.
Right.
It's dirt,
Yeah.
it's make believe.
We just granted variance to save some trees.
The tree, you want me to cut down the 100-year-old tree?
I don't want you to do anything. I mean, the town wants you to get off their land.
Well,
I
I
mean,
wanna-
you're gonna have to
that's-
figure out a way.
That's gonna happen no matter
We
what.
put a man on the moon. I mean, there's gotta be a way to move the building.
I'm
How
gonna
far
move
is the
it.
tree from the-
$1,800. It's not, moving the house isn't my problem, it's gonna happen no matter what. It's just how far you're gonna make me go.
What's the setback, Andrew?
10 feet.
Yeah,
On an
you're gonna have to be
accessory
10
building.
feet off the line.
That's what I was hoping to get the variance for. I wanted to try to keep it down to 2 feet. No way.
No, just out of curiosity, I saw something about adverse possession. What did you obtain by adverse
triangle.
possession?
The triangle.
That's what came to you by adverse possession.
That wasn't from the town.
Who
The
owned that?
triangle with the exception of this little area.
No, who owned that before you got adverse
Um,
possession of
Tuxet
it?
Woods was bought from Eleanor Thomas, it was 100 years here.
Yeah.
By Mike Nielsen and Mike Georges.
Yeah.
And they were putting in a 40B.
Yeah.
And it fell through. They never got the final improvement. So they sold it to the town to protect the 2 wells
Yeah.
about 10 years ago.
But the part that you got by adverse possession,
Was from Mike Nielsen.
you got that from Nielsen, not town. You
Not
got it
town,
before the
no.
town took it, you got it from,
No.
okay.
Yeah.
You see why I'm asking here? You got a piece of property for nothing. You just kind of took it over and got it, correct?
That is true, although I begged him, this is a control house for a 10,000 gallon a day septic system.
Yeah.
I drew up the plans to flip it, and I got the Board of Health to approve it,
Yeah.
and they just wouldn't do it. I
Yeah.
said, that's a 10,000 gallon a day septic system, 94 feet from my house.
Yeah?
So Mike wouldn't deal with me, he wouldn't, I tried.
Well, we can't ask him now, can we?
No.
We
See?
can't ask him.
Say it again?
We can't ask him. We can't ask Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But the point I make is that you got a piece of property just by pretty much taking it over, consuming it. So, the town obviously wants their property back.
Well, I do. I want to get
Yeah.
off. Again,
Yeah.
that wasn't what I was hoping to get the
Yeah,
variance for.
yeah.
But it sounds like there's no way, you're gonna make me move it to 16 feet. You don't.
You just make the shed smaller?
No, I'd move it to 16 feet.
You can't shuffle it, like, over and past
Swing
the
it
tree?
sideways or something?
Over near the flower beds, maybe?
It's, it's up on pilings, so it's gonna go forward very easy.
Okay.
Going sideways would be a killer.
Is that the tree right there?
No, it's
On
the
the
oak
side.
trees out there, but that's the foundation. I mean, it's only
I gotcha.
14 feet. Yeah, that's the oak.
I wouldn't want that close to
How do you
my,
gain access to that property? Do you come through your side, or do you go up
Yeah, up Holyoke Ave and in that
there?
way.
You don't come through the other way where the gate is?
No.
It's never locked? the kid-
No, I know it's never locked. I mean, I have in my lifetime, but, you know, it's rare.
Do you see that as an issue with, I know it's irrelevant to what you're looking for, but those kids flying up there, speeding, and do you have issues with that?
The dirt bikes?
Nah, anything.
Well, there's no cars. It's just the kids on the dirt bikes.
There's never a car goes up that road?
There's a gate.
Very rarely.
The gate's not locked, it's open.
Yeah, but you have-
Usually it's just me.
You just have to,
I went to go up there today and I was too lazy to get out of my car, so.
Ride, and people on
I
the
saw there's no
curb
change.
walking up there, so that gate is open, it should be locked, but it's open.
Yeah, but that's the
You had to get out of the car though and pull the pin and open the gate. I mean, it's a lot of work just to do whatever.
I don't know about that, I think it's open.
Yeah.
What I've seen, it's been open, and people fly up and down.
The pen lock in that gate, I know. But it's a DPW issue, so. I know, but that's the DPW's.
No, I get it, no, it's irrelevant to what he's talking about, I was just asking you. Sorry?
So it doesn't sound
so,
good here.
so
I think
basically.
we got a lot of, you have some decent answers, and that's what you were looking
Yeah,
for.
mostly like moving 16 feet, kid. So that's pretty much how you.
Looks like you're living there as long as you have. You're making out pretty good.
I'm not complaining.
You know,
It's just.
You get your own little piece of world back there, and you know, I think you've been there so long, it kind of, you know, now all of a sudden Google Earth comes into play, and all of a sudden, oh, look what Bill's doing back there.
Yeah, I think that's changed a lot of things.
Isn't it the public benefit to not cut trees?
And no offense, this was not a Google Earth thing, this was neighbors.
Or that.
Answer.
I mean, there's no way I'm gonna get around 3, right? It's
My
just-
guess is you're gonna move the shed.
This was a lot of neighbors complaining about this over a number of years. And this goes back to enforcement letters that even Jerry O'Neill, like literally every single building commissioner since Mike Clancy has sent Bill an enforcement letter.
Now, has there ever actually been a fine issued since 2013?
No, there's actually never been a fine, and I think I'm actually the first building commissioner to actually ever follow up on an initial, stop work order, cease and desist, or anything, and make anything actually happen out here that's gonna, resolve the actual thing that all parties can agree to.
Would there be a process to buy a sliver of property off the town?
I wish. I'd give him 20 grand for that.
Is there, does anybody know, is there even a process to buy?
I can say that definitively that the town is not looking to sell open space, they are looking to acquire open space. And I can definitively say that based on my site visits with the town administrator, town council, the DPW, the water department, the fire department, and every other department that's concerned about this location, is that they unequivocally have no intention of selling any land and have every intention of installing a fence along the property.
It seems like a waste.
Okay,
I guess that answers that.
yes.
Now, they're putting you said they're putting a fence up, they're erecting a fence?
Yeah, and that's why I gave them the opportunity to apply for some sort of relief with the zoning board of appeals before we remove the structure.
Now, what type of fence, just curious, what type of fence are they putting up? Is this gonna be more of a
Rather than
guardrail?
just a 6 foot,
Yeah.
a 6 or 7 foot, chain
Bill, is
link
that how the
fence.
kids get through there do they go up Norwich or any of those roads to get in there? On the
bridle path
ATVs, or
and
they
all
come in from the pit, the other side, the bridle trail?
Everywhere. I mean, there's some right by your
There's-
place,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
the gate.
There's gates at the end of each of these streets, Brian.
Yeah, okay. All right,
All right, well, thank you for your time.
Well-
Appreciate it.
glad we could do whatever we can. Thank you.
Good night.
All right, do we have, where's the town?
I
Well,
know that
they said they were
Michael's at
gonna withdraw.
the advisory board meeting,
No, they came back, they fixed the plan.
but they, Greg and Karen in planning, the planner and the assistant town planner, reworked the plan So that a
We
variance.
have that, right? Yeah, but they don't need a variance.
I,
Brian,
yeah,
I can present on behalf
Oh,
of the.
thank
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
Better you than me.
Asked me to
Yeah.
earlier,
Okay,
if Michael wasn't available.
perfect. Let me read it in, if I can
Read
find
it.
it. I read it?
Last
Oh, yeah, we already read it in. This is continued. Go ahead, Andrew.
So basically, here's the revised plan for the dog park. So what we ended up figuring out, so we moved all these structures back so that they complied with the zoning setbacks. So now, and they also eliminated one of them. So you have less coverage on the lot. You have an allowed use of having the carport, over the structure over here. But you also just basically what they're describing it now as, instead of carports, there's there shade structures with solar installations on top, which is an allowed accessory structure.
So no variance is needed at this point, correct?
No, so we're requesting to withdraw the variance without prejudice.
That was pretty much what the two Bryans here suggested at the last meeting, correct? That they reconfigure
Correct.
this?
So now it's just, we're looking for site plan approval in concert with the building and electrical permits that will be associated with construction here.
Thank you.
I have no questions.
Yeah, we've already been through this, so.
Is it closed, open meeting right now?
No,
Is it
it's still open. So any questions from the board? Any questions from the public?
I think this was, again, as you guys
already
had gone
discussed
over
it,
Yeah.
last time, just
We just needed it
Exactly
to
what they should have done.
we
Cleaned up,
wanted it to
yeah.
be clean. Brian spoke up. Nothing from the audience, nothing from the board. I make a motion that we close 2314 Town of Marshfield, 35 Proprietors Drive.
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Rob Hensley, aye?
Brian Murphy, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye?
Mark Owen, aye.
Steve Feeney, aye.
Heidi? And I move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's request for site plan approval, subject to the conditions. We're already voting you in, Mike. Andrew presented it.
The only condition that I would propose is, Bob's advice was that they have surety bonds for removal costs.
Oh, yeah, that's part of it anyways, right?
Okay.
It's 1.5 times,
1.25.
1.25 times the removal of the material, battery, whatever I call it.
And that's, I would guess.
Photo, whatever, I can't pronounce the word. Yeah.
Photovoltaic.
Anything else I'm missing in there, Andrew? As built? We all,
Yeah, they'll require an as-built at the end of the project.
okay. And yep, density, blah, 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 variance, okay. And, I think that's it. Oh, well, do we all agree with the, site plan approval, standards?
1 through 10, I do.
I do.
I do, yeah.
I do. All right, all those in favor? Did I read the
So
rest of
Brian,
it?
I'm not voting on this.
Okay, thank you, Heidi.
Okay.
Wait, I don't know if I finished. So let me just finish. We got the conditions, details. Meets the performance standards and design standards set forth in 1222 of the bylaw. All those in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Rob Hensley, aye?
Brian Murphy, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye?
Mark Owen, aye.
Steve Feeney, aye.
Thank you.
One more thing.
Brian, you
have
just
to
have
vote
to,
on-
now you just have to vote
vote
to
on the
withdraw
withdrawal.
the variance.
Oh, yes.
without prejudice.
Okay, so I move that the board vote to withdraw the variance
Without
without
prejudice.
prejudice. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Rob Hensley, aye?
Brian Murphy, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye?
Mark Owen, aye.
Steve Feeney, aye.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Thank you. I apologize for I was tied up at the joint hearing of the selectmen and the advisory
Andrew
board.
got it done.
It's all good.
Thank you. Appreciate it, everyone.
We got you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Were you guys here or at the other building?
No, I had to come from the library.
I
We're at the
tried to
library.
tell Bob we were already done.
Yeah.
Oh,
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Motion to close.
Thanks for your time.
Second.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Rob Hensley, aye?
All in favor?
Aye.
Keane, aye.
Rob Hensley, aye?
Brian Murphy.
Brian Sullivan, aye?
Mark Owen, aye.
Steve Feeney, aye.
Heidi,
Aye.
you have a good night. Thank
Good
you.
night.